As you know, I ran for district attorney again last year, and I was sworn in on January the 4th. And I'm very thankful to have this opportunity. I love Philadelphia. You love Philadelphia?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
I got a whole table of guys that are quiet. Even if you hate me, which I don't know why you would, you love Philadelphia.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love Philadelphia. There's a lot more I know that we can all do to make Philadelphia a safer city. Unfortunately, Philadelphia leads the nation in the rate of homicides caused by handguns. Unfortunately, Philadelphia, in the prior administration, Philadelphia had the lowest conviction rate of all of the 40 largest urban areas. Did you know that?
Yes.
Very sad. 59% of all the felony cases in Philadelphia were thrown out because the district attorney's office wasn't ready. Did you know that?
Yeah, I read the Inquirer, yeah.
Read the Inquirer. Sir.
Well, I had jury duty a lot. I've done a lot of those trials. And you're right, the attorneys, they weren't ready.
Well, it wasn't the fault of the young DAs who were working very hard. I have a young woman here who was an assistant district attorney with me. I work with her, I supervise her. But unfortunately, how many of you here have been victims of crime and had to go to court? Okay, it's a good neighborhood. See, a lot of neighborhoods I go talk to. I go to a lot of neighborhoods, I ask how many people have gone to court as victims, people putting their hands up and their legs. So, my point is, unfortunately, the DAs in the system here in Philadelphia were assigned to courtrooms. And Mr. Williams here was saying they were assigned to courtrooms, and they get their cases the night before they went to court. They're going to call the witnesses the night before. And that's what led to 59% of all the felony cases being thrown out. I worked at law firms, and if those big law firms lost 59% of their cases because they couldn't get the cases ready early on, they would be out of business and sued for malpractice. So what I said was we should expect nothing less of government. We should demand excellence at all times. So I'm not the smartest kid. I went to public school here in Philadelphia. But I knew that there was a better way. And no matter where I worked in my life, I always thought I could do a better job than the boss. I worked at a Sears, it was a 63rd Market. I delivered pizzas for Domino's. I drove a cab when I was in college to work my way through school. And I always thought there was a better way. So when I was a young assistant DA, I would think about and talk to my colleagues at lunchtime, like many of you do at work. What can we do to make it better? So I thought about it for a long time, and now I have the opportunity to try to implement some of those things. And so we're working very hard. We've made a lot of changes in a very short period of time. I was going to talk to you about a few of them and talk about why we need to engage community groups like this. I want to thank all of you. All of you are members of the Civic Association?
Yes.
All right. Many of you might know I was born in 1967, and I was given up for adoption, so I never met my parents. I lived in an orphanage and then 2 foster homes. But what made the difference in my life was I was adopted by a great family, Rufus and Imelda Williams. The number one thing they taught me was that unless you're willing to be a part of the solution, you forfeit your right to complain. So a lot of people want to complain about stuff and just, but at least you're coming out, and your officers here, people work hard all the time to try to make your neighborhood a better neighborhood. I was the president of the Overbrook Park Civic Association for 10 years. That's where I lost all my hair. We're trying to deal with the potholes, the stop signs, working with the school, all those things that people really care about. Senator Specter came to our rec center when I was a little kid and told everybody that he was only going to answer questions because he dealt with their national and international issues. And first they put their hand up. So what are you going to do about them not picking up the trash in the alley? Senator Specter, oh, I said I represent you on national and international issues. Why did you bring that up with my friend Lou Blackwell? The lady said, well, I didn't want to start that high. So, you know, city councilman you think is lower than a senator, but people, who's getting the potholes fixed, putting up the stop signs, fixing the schools, make sure the grass is cut in the rec center, that's more important to people than maybe something over in the Mideast. So my parents taught me that the most important thing is, you know, not just to complain, but to be involved. So I'm thankful that all of you are here and that you're trying. And then my goal for the DA's office is to really work with community groups in a much better way than we've done in the past to help resolve problems at the local level and to understand the neighborhoods much better. All right, so my goal is, overarching goal is to have what's called community-based prosecution. Currently, the DAs are assigned to courtrooms, and they get their cases the night before, like I told you earlier. And they're assigned to units in the office based on how long they've been in the office. Well, I want to change that to community-based prosecution. So, crime occurs geographically. There's an entire branch of criminology known as the ecology of crime. There are spikes to crime. Crime goes up based on time and temperature. It goes down on other reasons. There's more domestic violence one day of the year than any other day of the year. Does anybody know what day?
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl Sunday. You have more domestic violence in Philadelphia on nights when it snows and the Flyers or the Eagles lose. You have more cars are stolen in Philadelphia every day in one place. Does anybody know where?
On my block.
Your block is somewhere here in your 15th district, right? More than that. More cars are stolen every day in Philadelphia from one place. I'm sorry. Do you know where? No. Franklin Mills Mall. If more people get shot every day in the 25th district and in the 12th district here in Southwest Philadelphia. From about 58th in Baltimore to about 58th in Woodlands, one of the deadliest corridors in all of Philadelphia. What police district has more arrests than any other district? 15th. That's right, 15th district. But there are patterns of crime. In Center City, there are a lot of car break-ins. People break into cars, people left their cell phones, their briefcase, people break into the cars and steal it. They also target cars with out-of-state license plates. They think those people are less likely to come back to go to court to testify against the defendant, right? I grew up in West Philadelphia on 63rd Street between Catherine and Webster. And where I grew up, if your car got stolen, everybody knew it was probably the Natividad boys that stole your car. When we were little kids, they stole your Nerf football. When we got bigger, they stole bicycles. When we got bigger, they stole cars and had a chop shop on Felton Street. Now, Ricky is on death row. But crime occurs geographically. So you know the people on your block or in your neighborhood. If your car's stolen, you probably figure out, got a hunch of who it might be. You know the people in your block, if you see them, you cross the street, or you know the people who might help you carry your bags in your car. So my goal is to assign the DAs geographically so that they can understand the patterns to crime that are specific to the different neighborhoods. I grew up in West Philadelphia. I don't know a whole lot about Northwood, I'm going to be honest with you. Other than I've been here, I've come to a lot of meetings, I know what the building looks like. I actually went to I thought it was upstairs. You said to be upstairs. That's where I went. But I want the assistant DAs to understand the community. So, if 20% of the crimes were to take place in the Northeast Division, then we're going to assign about 20% of the DAs in our trial division to only handle those cases. And Mark Gilson, I don't know if you ever heard of Mark Gilson. He's one of the greatest homicide prosecutors our office ever had. His father was an assistant district attorney in Philadelphia also. I think he went to Ryan. He's a lifelong resident of the Ryan or Judge. He's a lifelong resident of the Northeast. And he's going to be in charge of all prosecution for cases in the Northeast. So those DAs then will get to know the names of the town watch groups, the civic associations, the block captains, the clergy. They'll also see the patterns in crime and also know who the Natividad boys are up here. So you get to see the patterns in crime.